Hey everyone, Charting Man Dan here, checking in on the cryptocurrency sector. I made my first Bitcoin long entry in a while over this past weekend. We'll go over what was standing out for that entry and the game plan going forward from here. First things first, the S&P 500, green day out there in the markets overall, but we did reject from the high of Friday, and currently we're within an hourly tightening range. It's just a question of whether we're going to set an hourly lower high. Set an hourly lower high and confirm an hourly downtrend, or can the bulls keep some of this bounce control? Overall, bigger picture, I'm going to be watching into tomorrow. Can the bulls confirm this little inverse head and shoulders type of setup on the 4-hour chart? So overall, a little bit of life from the bulls in the broader market on this bounce, but not very significant at the moment. So Bitcoin, first let's go over the trade entry that I made, and then we'll look at where we stand from here. And I'm finding a lot of clarity on the 2-day time frames in crypto right now. And this just has to do with smoothing things out a little bit. You know, right here we had a little bounce and a little lower wick. Is that a daily lower high? It's not much of a bounce. 2-day time frames we've been watching on the altcoins in the last couple of videos. There's a lot of altcoin tightening equilibriums on the 2-day time frame. So that's where I'm sticking with. That's what I'm sticking with right now for my viewpoint on things. And that is why I did enter Bitcoin looking for a 2-day higher low compared to 21.3 thousand. I've been trading Bitcoin, I haven't been trading Bitcoin recently. I've been trading Riot and MARA in stocks during this volatility in crypto over the last, 2 months or so. And that's having to do with where my capital is and zero fees trading those names. But the reason I took a Bitcoin entry over the weekend was, number one, it was a weekend and the stock market was closed. And I was just doing a check-in video for TheChartGuys members, and it just stood out to me in terms of finally getting a good risk reward scenario that I liked. Because I'm not going to go long if we're testing key 25.2 thousand. And so I will go long if we have a setup that is favorable in the short term for a low risk, decent reward entry. So I was playing this hourly falling wedge. And the reason that I was looking for my entry was, okay, the bears have had full control for a couple of days here. This falling wedge is showing me bear exhaustion because every lower low goes straight into a bounce. So I made my entry right around 23,000. And when you're playing a falling wedge, you have to anticipate that you're going to break support. You just have to anticipate that it's going to lack follow through. So anytime I make an entry playing a wedge, I assume that there's going to be at least one more move against me. And so I give extra wiggle room knowing that, again, we can very easily break to a lower low and see a lack of follow through. If I'm playing off of 22.8 support, I stop out there. But it's because I recognize that it's a falling wedge that I use a smaller position size and give more wiggle room to allow for the falling wedge to play out. In addition to that, one of our members pointed out, it was Moongazer, a falling wedge that I missed because I was doing the video and I was trying to draw a falling wedge from this anchor and it was, I don't really like how this is setting up. And so they posted their falling wedge and it was using a different anchor and it was like this. And so I had already made my entry at this point, but I was then looking at it and saying, okay, that I like the falling wedge on that longer term time frame now as well. And it was right about there is what they were looking at. So I was looking at a short term falling wedge. They were looking at a bigger picture falling wedge. And my game plan was, forgot to talk about the post that I had up. So I grabbed a small position to bottom fish the current lows. I've not taken a crypto trade in a long time. Doesn't mean it's high conviction. It's just the best risk reward that I have liked for a long entry in a couple of weeks. Low risk bottom fish being the key word. Again, playing off of the levels nearby, but knowing that they can easily break with no follow through before the move takes place. And I'm ideally looking to take half off at 4-hour EMA 12 resistance to then be in full control of the trade. So 4-hour EMA 12 resistance, I ended up taking about a third of the position off, took a little bit more off on some follow through. So I'm now down half position. I don't have high conviction that we're going to set a 2-day higher low and head up to higher highs. The reason I'm in this trade is because I knew that if the short-term setup played out the way that I was anticipating, that I would be able to maneuver to put myself in a very low risk or risk-free scenario. And right now with my stop under 22.7 thousand, I am pretty much just risking maybe half of the fees. If anything, it might be break even. I haven't done the exact math because it doesn't matter whether it's a tiny win or a tiny loss. It's pretty much a risk-free trade for me. And so we're either going to confirm a daily bear flag and stop me out, or we're going to confirm a 12-hour uptrend and I'll have a solid position. So that's an example of, I don't predict. I use technical analysis to try and position for possibilities. So I'm not predicting that we're about to head back to recent highs, but I'm in a very low risk position based on short-term patterns that I'm comfortable with in case we do. And if we don't, I stop out and then I take a step back and reassess the situation. So Bitcoin, I'm looking for a 12-hour higher low on this current pullback. It is absolutely a possible daily bear flag right now. This bounce is not showing a whole lot of strength and confidence. And we are watching for the possibility of, again, a monthly rejection from EMA 12 resistance. So we're battling monthly EMA 12. The next win for the bears would be confirming a 2-day downtrend. Currently we have a 2-day inside bar, probably going to close that way today. But bears want to see, that would be a head and shoulders like pattern if any bounce results in a lower high and a lower low. And that's certainly the name of the game for the bears. They want to confirm as many downtrends on as many time frames as possible. And in the short term, Bitcoin is down at the lows right now. 15-minute lower highs, EMA 12 resistance. Yes, the bear breaks are lacking follow through, but still clearly a 15-minute downtrend. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. At this point in time, I have nothing else to do, no actions left to take. Don't even have to do much analysis. I'm either going to stop out or we're going to confirm a 12-hour uptrend into daily bounce follow through. And the broader market is probably going to dictate a lot to do with which of those two scenarios plays out. The dominance chart on the weekly time frame is tightening up now. We've got our high, our weekly higher low, lower high, and potentially looking for an equilibrium to shape up. And so that tells me not a whole lot of information. Recently, Bitcoin has been weaker than the altcoins on this pullback and on the bounce. We started the bounce a bit stronger on Bitcoin, but then the altcoin bounces caught up. ETH, again, watching for a daily lower high here as well. 12-hour chart, the bulls are hoping for an inverse head and shoulders, and that is on the table. So if my Bitcoin long is going to work out, it's going to be a 12-hour trend change back to the bulls to set the 2-day higher low on ETH. So I'm on the 12-hour, and we know the hourly can match up with the 12-hour, meaning if we're going to set a 12-hour higher low, the bulls need to regain the hourly uptrend as the first indication of that 12-hour higher low. And at this point, we've got a lot of space for an hourly lower high, so that's not happening right now. Bears are confident in the short term. It's just a question of, can they confirm an hourly downtrend from here and retrace all of this move back down to where we just came from over the weekend. Keeping an eye on the broader market right now. Not a whole lot going on. ETH BTC, looking for daily consolidation to potentially shape up. We have a base of support down at this key level that we bounced off of. So ETH has been showing relative strength against Bitcoin over the last couple of days of trading. The bulls really want to confirm a daily uptrend to have confidence that this base of support can hold, because obviously if we fall through that, that's going to be a big win for the ETH bears. But for now, we are tightening up. OP has been a lead bull, 12-hour equilibrium right now. Just a big time bounce, hourly oversold conditions happened at 263, and then from there we go up over 15%. So that's a great sign for the bulls to show that continued strength. But it is a 12-hour equilibrium right now where we have our low, high, higher low, lower high is now set. Bulls must hold 263 to remain within this tightening range. If we look at it from the daily perspective, then the bulls are holding on better on OP than most altcoins and most individual names. And we would have to drop down and lose these higher lows for that to change. So we're within striking distance of our recent highs. Many names are not within striking distance of our recent highs. And OPBTC is doing the same 12-hour tightening range, lower high set. So again, just keeping an eye out for clues there. So OP is on the stronger side of things. They're on the more bullish side of things. There are certainly names on the weaker side of things. We know XRP, BTC has been struggling. Daily EMA 12 resistance. Keeping an eye, though, for any kind of shift, similar to how Mana shifted. Mana BTC, remember it was all bear, lead bear for months and months and months, and then we had a volume spike, and then Mana bulls led the way with a big move up, led by the volume. And so I'm keeping an eye on XRP BTC. It's certainly not the kind of pattern where I'm going to be scaling into weakness or, trying to position for a move before any signal. But if we see a couple days in a row of notable bull volume, if we confirm a daily uptrend and show some sign of life, it's worth keeping an eye on XRP to be a laggard. But for now, it is a lead bear. And again, any name, QNT has been a lead bear. Any name that's BTC's pairing is hitting the lowest level in months. That's who the lead bears are. And so that's the case for QNT, where QNT BTC, daily EMA 12 resistance rejection, and dropping to the lower low. So we can have higher conviction we know we have back burner bounce trades that have high conviction, but we have setups that we can look for bounce plays as well. And Mana is one of them. Mana has been weak recently, but Trader Pro 4-hour super stack, and again, the 4-hour super stack tells us that we're oversold on the 4-hour, the hourly, the 15-minute, the 5-minute. All these time frames are aligning oversold together. Not only that, because if that's happening in a downtrend, that doesn't necessarily mean we have confidence in a bounce, but it's happening right above support. So that's when we can look for, okay, we're really extreme oversold on a lot of time frames heading into a key support level. If I'm going to try and play a bounce here, it's essentially a bottom fish. And I have much more confidence in a bottom fish play off of support if we're in extreme oversold conditions on a lot of time frames versus, just being in a downtrend and not in extremes. So it ended up being a 5% bounce, and we're back down testing the recent lows. So, it might not be a huge win, but just an example of if we're playing bounces, I only like back burner bounces, and I only like super stacks. And super stacks are best when you've got a support level nearby to be playing off of as well. So keep an eye on that, those kinds of plays. Otherwise, at this point in time, we're going to scout an hourly lower high to be the result of the next bounce. How much bounce retracement we see on the hourly is going to be telling. If the bears can confirm an hourly downtrend, then that 12-hour consolidation is going to head back towards the recent lows. So the burden is on bulls to prove to us that we're not topping out on a longer term time frame here. And right now they've got a lot more proving to do. And they need SPY to help. Need to see the broader market bulls set a weekly higher low. Because for SPY and QQQ, that is the most likely scenario in my opinion. It's just a question of, are we setting that weekly higher low now, or do we drop for another week or two before we set that higher low? So keeping an eye on it all, and we will check back in from here. I appreciate you watching. I'm dealing with wonky internet today, which is why I'm not live streaming. I've got a technician coming out tomorrow, so we'll get that fixed up, and I'll see you live likely on Wednesday. Do good things. Feel free to ask any questions. I read the comments, and we'll see you soon.